Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now it's pretty much 6 months since this car came into Audi and was delivered to me. So 6 months and 7,000 miles of ownership. So I just thought I'd run through on this video some of the things that I really like about this car, what I think is really cool about the Audi Q6. As you can see, she's had lots of use. It's been down to the Alps, it's been down to the tip. It's just a proper family kind of estate car wagon that gets used for all sorts of stuff. And as you can tell by the state of it, it is well used. It's pretty filthy right now, but I can assure you, some point in the last 6 months, it did get a good wash. Okay, so I've got myself a little list of things. This is in no particular order. I thought I'd start off with how it drives. This thing drives really nicely. It doesn't have the comfort and the refinement and the smoothness of the Q8, and in particular the old e-tron 55 that I had. But this is a really comfortable car. You are very aware of the road surface, but it's not too invasive. It's not a harsh ride, but be aware, I've got the comfort suspension because I'm on a sport model. You get comfort suspension on sports and S lines. And I've got the 19-inch wheels, so I've got a bit more tyre sidewall, so mine is a bit more forgiving than some. If you went with the Edition 1 with the 21s and the sport suspension, I think you'd be in for a fairly firm ride. So if you're looking at one of those, do test drive it before you get in one. But I really love this car. I think the way it handles, the way you kind of get a bit of feedback through the steering, you can kind of push it to a little bit of oversteer. This is a really nicely sorted car. For a driver, it's a great thing to drive. So that's one of the things that I love about it, is how this car drives. Okay, so space-wise, I think that this thing is pretty good. Oh, vicious dog. Yeah, space-wise, this thing is pretty good. It's got quite a big frunk on it. That wasn't standard when I ordered mine. It's something that I had to add on. But I believe if you order one now in the UK, you get the frunk as standard. That's about 64 litres of space. Doesn't really matter if you have a Quattro or a rear-wheel drive, unlike some cars. It's a bit of an awkward shape in terms of sloping floor and the angles of the sides. I was hoping to get more wine boxes in it than I could when I was coming back from France, because I thought I'd just chuck the duty-free in there. But it is a pretty versatile space, and yeah, it's not bad at all. It is handy to have a frunk, because again, if you're after things you know, like charging cables, you don't want to be rummaging around under the boot floor to get them when you've got luggage in the car. So that frunk space comes in super handy. And boot space wise, it's really good too. There's a lot of cars out there around the 500 litre mark. This is just above, but not by much. I'm finding I can get as much in this as I could in the old e-tron. It's much higher here to the parcel shelf height. You've got a lot more height on it. And this rubber mat that I got from Car Mats for You or Car Mats UK online, this came out of the old e-tron. It's actually showing that I've got the same width in the boot. It's just a little bit shorter in this Q6. And underneath the floor, you've got a reasonable amount of space as well. I mean, in terms of a load lugger, this thing is pretty practical. I've got some of those kind of 1-ton aggregate bags that I use for garden waste, and you can slide one of those in as long as it's not full to the brim pretty easily. So as a kind of load lugger, this thing is a pretty decent practical car. Okay, while talking about space, well, I'm kind of 6'2" and a bit, quite gangly, long-legged. This is my normal driving position. You can see I've got a little bit of knee room there. It's the headroom and the shoulder room that gives the impression of space. Plenty of space between me and the other rear passenger as well. Quite easy to go 3 abreast in this. What I did notice, I put this thing side by side against my mate's Q4 45 Quattro, and that car is significantly narrower. Whereas the Audi PPE platform cars do get a lot of width. So space-wise, I do like it. This is a comfy car. And ride and comfort-wise in the back, this thing is pretty decent. Also, you get your own air conditioning control. You get heated rear seats as standard. So that's a nice touch on this as well. And these front sport seats, I just think they look great. They are super comfortable, and these are a really nice seat. Not electronic control, no memory unless you get the Edition 1, but to be honest, no one else drives this car. So the fact that they're not electronically adjustable doesn't really matter that much to me. A lot less than I thought it would when I ordered the car, but a really comfortable, attractive seat on the Sport. And the S-Line, it's the same seat, you just get an S-Line badge on it. And the Ed 1, you just get a different fabric with the kind of diamond pattern on it. but these front sport seats are super. Now, equipment wise, well, Audi know that most of the electric car sales are fleet sales. They're going out to leasing companies, they're on salary sacrifice arrangements, NHS fleet, that kind of thing. That means most of the people that buy them aren't just kind of private cash buyers. Some are, but the majority are going through fleet sales. So they've kind of come up with a spec that works for the fleet companies. That meant that when I was leasing the car on a salary sacrifice arrangement, I didn't have to go through a large kind of options list. Those options tend to be quite expensive when you're looking at a lease. You tend to pay 100% of the price of the option. You don't get any kind of value into it for the residuals. So by making the standard car quite highly spec'd up, this is kind of working quite well for those like me, particularly on salary sacrifice. So as standard, you've got 3-zone air con, you've got blind spot monitoring, you've got adaptive cruise control, you've got heated rear seats, you've got the 360 cameras, and the cameras are superb. If I just pop the car into reverse now, and the boot's open, let me shut the boot. These 360 cameras with the view, as you can see up here on the front screen, they are really good. It's just the clarity you get on that, and the fact they kind of move with the steering and everything, and you've got various different other camera shots that you can select. It's a really, really nice parking system with the front and rear parking as well. So it is a bulky vehicle, it is wide, but that really helps it make it an easy thing to park. Okay, aircon ventilation system. Mine was a bit noisy to start with. It ended up going back to Audi and the system got rebled. It's kind of much more normal on its noise levels now. You could hear the kind of coolant going around in the circuit, kind of hissing and gurgling before. It's nice that the aircon and climate controls are permanently down here. It's going to be a bit noisy as I switch them on. But one thing you've got is an eco mode. That'll save a little bit of energy. That's easy to switch on and off. It defaults to that in some of the efficiency modes. I can get rid of the menu, I can bring up all sorts of stuff. It greys out the unoccupied seats, whether they be the passenger seat or the rear seats, just to kind of save a bit of energy, which is really smart of it. But the thing I like most of all is it's just got an auto mode that works. You just leave it in auto. But what you can do is you can go to an auto kind of gentle, auto medium and auto intensive, because sometimes on some cars I think if it's on auto it's just not quite blowing enough air, you want a little bit more cooling, or it might be a bit too much. So it's nice to be able to vary that in the automatic mode. So I think this is a really well thought out air conditioning system, and above all with the preconditioning that you get as standard, you can operate that through the app or through a timer. It just means you always get into a comfortable car. Right, let's talk about some of the drive modes that I like on this. The Drive Select really doesn't do a great deal, but I do love the regen on the Audis. I was used to it with the old e-tron, so I've got the flappy paddles. You might think they're a bit of a gimmick, but when you're going down a hill and you don't want the car to accelerate, because we've got a few places here on the south coast, you go downhill into a village where the speed limit drops, you know there's a camera just as you go into the village. So to be able to just click a little bit of regen braking on and let that do the work is really good. I absolutely love B mode, which is the one pedal mode. That will bring the car down to a stop, whereas the other regen only brings you down to about 5 or 6 miles an hour. But B mode is great around town. And I like the adaptive regen on this as well. That means it just puts the brake on for you if there's a car in front or you're coming up to a roundabout. But if you're just kind of coasting, because you're on the motorway, you're just kind of lifting off, then it will just coast rather than put some braking in. So the adaptive system, I like it. It's not everyone's cup of tea, I'm happy to accept that, but I've got used to it on the old car and I really like it on this thing. Okay, headlights on this, you've got LED headlights, you've got those fancy light signatures. I don't really get to see them because I'm normally approaching the car from my front door to the side of the car. Don't get to see all the fancy light displays and things that this thing can do. That's a bit of a gimmick to me. However, the headlights are brilliant. They're really bright. They've got a really nice pattern on them. And they've got a few extra functions. Audi call one of them motorway light, so it just adjusts the dip beam on the left when you're on the motorway. The main beam, my old e-tron didn't even have high beam assist. It didn't even do an automatic main beam for you with a kind of automatic dipping with oncoming traffic. This thing's got all that as standard. If you've got the Ed 1, you get Matrix included as standard, but all the cars have Matrix, and it's just a subscription away. Money-wise, the subscription's not too bad, and I've paid for it for 3 years on this. You could probably save some money by doing a 6-month subscription over the winter, or just for the kind of middle 4 months of the winter if you're driving in the dark, because this time of year, midsummer, I'm not doing a great deal of nighttime driving, so get the best value out of it. But the Matrix on this is absolutely phenomenal. It was great on the old e-tron 55, but this takes it up a level. This thing is superb. Okay, nav system. Just in terms of kind of how it works as a sat nav, it's pretty good. It's not perfect. I think it generally gives you some pretty decent routes. Only once or twice has it can give me some kind of really obscure, narrow, windy lanes, or even roads that don't actually exist. But where it's really strong is if you're on a long trip. Most of the time, it's not foolproof, but most of the time it will give you appropriate charging stops and an appropriate charging time. It's not quite as good as running things through a better route planner, but it will stop at all sorts of charging stations, usually the higher speed ones that are on your route, and it will look after you. If you're getting low, it really starts to nag you about getting a charging point in, and it will protect you and make it really difficult to run out of charge on a trip. Above that, if you know you've got a charging stop on your route, your efficiency is not as predicted because the traffic's a bit heavier going slower, and maybe you can go a bit further, it will adjust your charging plan for you. Likewise, if your consumption's a bit more because the weather's turned colder or it's got wet, this thing will adjust charging plans and find you near a more suitable stop. So it really looks after you on a long drive. We've taken it down to France, 1,200 mile round trip. Absolutely brilliant on that. So yeah, the nav system works really nicely. Now I've got to talk about recharging this thing on the road as a kind of follow on from that nav. Boy, does this thing charge. You let the charge level run down into the teens, and you tell it that you're stopping at a charger, which the sat nav will do automatically for you if you're planning a long route. You pull in to a 300 or 350 charger. Those chargers operate at 800 volts, and this is a high voltage pack. This thing will then charge at 270. At 50% battery, it's still charging at over 200. This thing is absolutely incredible for charging speeds. Now, okay, there aren't so many 300 and 350 chargers around. If you're a regular charger, it's going to charge at 135. That's still pretty decent, but the charging speed on this is out of this world. 600 miles back up from the Alps to the ferry. We did one 25-minute stop. We then did two 12-minute stops, and that was it. And we didn't even start with a full battery. We started with kind of half a battery. So, phenomenal charging performance on this. It's really easy to kind of carry on. The downside is, of course, you don't get that much of a break from the drive if you are charging fast. But if you've got to get on, as we did, to catch a particular ferry, the charging speed on this just makes it easy. It is out of this world. It is so quick and so easy. It's a great car for longer trips. So charging speed isn't the only factor on a long drive. If you've got a small battery that needs charging up often, that's going to be a bit of a pain. This thing does have a very big battery on it at 95, but above all, the car is quite efficient. So when you are charging, you're getting a lot of extra miles added to your range for every minute you're plugged in. That's because overall the car is quite an efficient car. And the depths of winter on the motorway, I would see about 2.7. Now the old e-tron would have been down at 2.2, 2.3 in those conditions. Now I'm in the summer, I'm sitting around kind of 3 to 3.3, get a bit of heavy traffic, a bit of roadworks. I've seen 3.6. I've actually had 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour coming down from Heathrow to Dorset in some fairly heavy traffic where I was doing 50 to 60 most of the way. And driving around town, I'm regularly seeing 4 miles per kilowatt hour. So this thing, considering the size and shape of it, is proving to be a really, really efficient car. Yeah, the rear-wheel drive is a little bit better, and the S-lines and the Edition 1s with the bigger wheels are a bit worse. The Edition 1 is about 8% worse than this, so it does have an impact on the range. But the efficiency on this thing is really good. 80% charge the other day, and it was just showing 305, 310 miles at 80%. So that suggests maybe summertime range off the motorway, somewhere around 360. In the winter, it's down at around 270 on the motorway, so that's your worst case. But it could be as much as 360 or more in the summertime. And finally, digital key. Tesla drivers, please don't fall off your chair laughing. Audi have finally got your key on your phone. Apparently it uses ultra wideband technology. It's more secure than using some of the older remote keys that were available. I did make a video on setting it up. I was a little bit skeptical at the time as to how useful it might be. I have not used the physical keys since I did digital key about a month ago. Digital key is really, really handy. I don't look for the car keys anymore. I just grab the phone. It works really well. I did test it with a flat battery on the phone, and it still worked because Apple iPhones have got this keys and express travel kind of mode with just the last reserve of the battery, so it should work for a few hours after the phone battery dies. So at least I can get into the car, and then I can get the car started and get the phone charged up as well. So digital key is absolutely terrific. On top of that, just kind of the nature of the lifestyle, we're into boats and messing around in the harbour and stuff like that. I was out with the Sea Scouts yesterday. My phone is waterproof, but my keys aren't. And that means that I can take my phone with me when I'm out on the water and not have to worry too much about them getting splashed. So it is also handy for other reasons, not just the convenience of having a phone, but the fact that your key system is now completely waterproof is a handy addition as well. Okay, a little bit that I meant to film with the original camera in the car, but I forgot, so I've done a little bit with my phone. And just on the Audi voice control, it's really good. It's not perfect, but here's a couple of little clips of me just showing you what you can do with the voice control system. Hey Audi, drive to work.
I will drive you to work.
Hey Audi, close the sun blind.
I can't help you with this request.
Hey Audi, close the sun blind.
I'll close the sun blind.
Okay, home charging. Let's face it, most houses have single phase electrics. They only ever charge at 7 kilowatts. So the fact that this has got 11 kilowatts, not 22, is irrelevant. I plug it in on the 7 kilowatt home charger, charge it up. I don't need to use public chargers very often at all because of its range. But the nice thing is that whatever charger I have, this thing is integrated with Octopus energy. So I can use intelligent Octopus Go. I can get 10 or 11 hours of cheap charging if I need to, all at 7 pence per kilowatt hour. That means £7 to charge this thing up. Now I think that's incredible value for money. You know, up to 300 miles, maybe 350 miles for £7 is mind-blowingly cheap motoring. If you want to join Octopus, there is a link in the description, £50 each, so you get 50 quid off your first bill, I get £50 kickback as well. But I do recommend it as a tariff. It does work really nicely on this car. Okay, well, hope you found some of this kind of interesting or useful. Add any comments as below, and I always try and respond to any comments that I get, any feedback on the channel. Yeah, this is an expensive car, and it's not quite what the old e-tron was in some aspects, but in many others it just kind of exceeds it to a great extent. So I'm really pleased with the choice. Would I prefer a Polestar 3? Probably not. I just think the boot size on this is more practical. Ride-wise, it's great. You know, everything is really kind of good about this car as far as I'm concerned. Now, of course, I am going to make another video with some of the downsides, and you know, please tune into that and watch it. So if you hit the like and subscribe, you'll find out when that video goes online, and I'll see you again soon for some more content on the Audi Q6.